I wanted to help you design your own program. This is one of the biggest things that I tend to get questions about: how to design a workout program, what's the most effective thing to do, how many sets should you do, how many reps should you do, how many exercises should you do, what exercises should you do. But with this, I want to give you a little bit of a framework on how to design your program. First and foremost, we're going to start with frequency. Now, frequency is important and probably one of the main foundations of a program design, because it bases on how well you're going to be able to stick to it. If you give yourself a 5-day or 6-day frequency and you can't stick to that, then it's not going to necessarily reap the benefits and rewards that you're looking for from your program based on your overall goals. So the first thing to consider is, what is a realistic amount of time you're able to spend in the gym per week? How many days can you do? Is that going to be 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, or even 6 days per week? In reality, the lower frequency that you can potentially absolutely stick to is probably the better one to go to. Sure, 4 days a week is going to be a good little program for you. However, if you can only manage 2 or 3, that's going to make life very difficult for you. So to give you an idea of how I would design, say, different types of frequencies, let's start with like a 3-day program. You would do a upper body day, you do a lower body day, and then you do an all over body day. For 4 days per week, I would shoot for upper, lower. And then if you're potentially able to do 5 days per week, you may wish to do one of two things, depending on how we program for you. You may wish to do an upper, lower, and then a fluff work session. So that 5th day might be something where it's some arms, some calves, might be ab training, that kind of thing. Or if you're going into a specialization type of bodybuilding program, you might want to consider, say, chest and back, a lower body session, upper body session, lower body session, and then shoulders and arms session. So you get lots of frequency there and you're able to complete 5 days per week. Factor within your workout program design is exercise selection. Now, if you can't safely and effectively barbell back squat or deadlift, for example, you don't have to include them within your program to get success. That being said, we do want some exercises that are going to form part of key performance indicators. These are movements such as the barbell lifts, like barbell presses and things, that are going to be able to help you show progression in terms of overall strength during your workout program or your phase of training. The way I'd usually structure the exercise selection, say for an upper body session, might be this barbell exercise, so a key performance indicator like the bench press. I then may include some fluff work for the chest, which would be something like incline dumbbell presses or an incline press machine or something of that sort. With, say, back exercises, you're probably looking for something like a horizontal pull, so a barbell bent over row, and then some sort of vertical pull like a lat pull down as an example. Once you've had those 2 big muscle groups like chest and back finished, you then may consider the other smaller muscle groups and the supplementary exercises like bicep curls, tricep pushdowns, and even some delt work like some lateral raises or some rear delt flies. From there, you're probably going to want to consider number 3, which is our rep ranges. So how many reps should you be performing per workout, and how many sets should that be? This is obviously going to depend on your overall goal. I'm going to presume you're potentially looking for a muscle building goal or a bodybuilding goal of some kind where you're trying to get a little bit bigger. So with that, you're looking for anywhere between about 60 and 75 repetitions for the big muscle groups, like you say your chests, your back, your quads, your hamstrings. And then the smaller muscle groups like your arms or your delts, you're probably looking for around 30 to 40 repetitions to add to that. Of the sets per week, if you're doing, say, 4 sessions per week, then you're looking at between 10 and 20 sets as a variation. So if you are less trained and more of an intermediate, you're probably looking closer to the sort of 10 sets bracket. If you're more advanced or certainly have an older training age, you're maybe even looking closer to the 20 sets. I think it's worth noting on those rep ranges that for things like barbell back squats, deadlifts, these big complex exercises, you may wish to consider slightly lower repetitions. So I wouldn't necessarily program or suggest doing 20 rep back squats. I'd probably only really program up to about maybe 10, maybe 12 repetitions as a higher repetition focus, versus say leg extensions where you may do sets of 15 or even 20 repetitions because of the fact of the safety aspect of things. Complex movements like barbell squats, form can break down when you get tired and you're more likely to injure yourself. Whereas if you're sitting in a fixed machine like a leg press, or leg extension, you're less likely to injure yourself because of that fixed position. The last one to consider, and number 4, is potentially simple periodization of some kind. Define what your goal is. Are you trying to get stronger? Are you trying to be a bodybuilder? Are you trying to gain muscle tissue? If, say, you're trying to gain muscle tissue and you're trying to train like a bodybuilder and you want to maybe gain that muscle mass, then the key here is to probably spend more of your time doing bodybuilding style workouts where there's more variation, more variety, more total volume and work, and probably slightly higher repetitions. With that, however, after say 3 to 6 months of a more specific bodybuilding program, you may wish to consider a short strength phase where you bring repetitions down, you bring total work or volume down, and then you look to try and increase weight from a strength goal perspective. And that simple periodization is probably likely to help you further your muscle building goals while still being specific to them. Likewise, for a strength phase, you're more likely to want to stay in a strength phase for a little bit longer, or certainly work with heavier weights and lower volume. And you're also probably likely to want to be a bit more specific for longer. So if you're trying to get stronger in bench press, you'll do more bench press for a longer period of time, when compared to bodybuilding, where you might have more variation in terms of dumbbell pressing, machine pressing, bench pressing, all these kind of things. I hope this short and easy video has helped you with your workout program scheduling, and certainly how you would put things together within the gym, or certainly shed some light on how I would certainly work with clients from an online perspective. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you do, give it a thumbs up, drop me a comment or any questions below, and we'll see you in the next one.